So why don't
We're
you
using
guys,
our
why don't you guys
Chromebook.
introduce yourselves and tell everybody who you are?
You start.
My name's Tracey Detwiler, and my wife Lori Detwiler, and I've been watching your videos for I think a couple of years now, and just it snowballed. I was laying in bed one night with one of the sleepless nights, and I had been seeing different routers and sign making, and I've always been interested in it. And I was like, sign making with router. And the first thing that came up on the search was your dad.
Yeah.
And I think I watched 4 hours straight that night.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
She was like, what time did you go to bed? I said I dozed off at about 6:30 and woke back up at like 7 something.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow.
She was like, what did you watch for all this time? I was like, this sign carving where they use routers, and it's all hand done. So, and then subscribed and kept watching, and it's sort of snowballed into that.
So
Yeah, back a few months ago, he came to me and he said, I want to do this. I want to buy this kit and I want to do this. And I said, well, what is it? Because he's always been a person that he doesn't play with hobbies. He doesn't dilly-dally around with them. He dives in the 8 foot into the pool straight off the bat and only goes down from there. So I was like, okay, what are we looking at?
No, it's not.
And yeah, it is absolutely true. And and he knows it. That's why he's denying it.
That's not true in this case.
Well, and so he started off, and I was like, well, that's interesting. And it really took to him, and he took to it like a duck to water. And he was outside so much working, like from 8 in the morning till dark or then some. And I'm like, what? And I'd go out there and he'd say, or he'd come in and he'd go, look at this. And he'd hold it up, or look at that. Or I tried this, or look how I screwed that up. And I'm like, I don't see the screw up, but I don't have a discerning eye. So the more I went out there to look and talk to him, the more it interested me. And the more I saw how it was helping him, because he kind of has a unique circumstance and situation with routing and carving. He's been diagnosed with some pretty major health issues over the years, and his most recent diagnosis was active and passive tremors. So you will notice tremors all over his body, but especially with his hands. And there are times
in my head, I've termed it, I'm a bobblehead today, and it really does. It kills your neck muscles.
He gets tired.
yeah.
Because you try to keep your neck so tense, thinking that you're gonna freeze the tremors or make them stop or go away, and it doesn't.
Wow.
It still continues, and then you end up with almost like muscle spasms in your neck area.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so yeah, it's been some days I can't write my name with a pen or pencil,
Huh.
and
Or keep food on the fork.
yeah, I can keep the food on a fork. I've got to stab it or eat it with my hands. But
Yeah.
my grandson can just about write it. Well, he can write his name better than I can in some days.
Yeah.
And turn the router on and plunge it in the wood and write my name just as pretty as can be. But
When he takes his hands off of the router, they shake like this. And it's the vibration from the router. And I was hoping, but I was a little skeptical that it was going to help and not frustrate him more, because he is absolutely a
I
perfectionist.
still get frustrated.
But the vibration actually helps, and he can route for a long period of time and be fine. But the second he puts that router down, it's a different story. He can hardly pick up the wood.
Wow. That is crazy. You know, we've got people that have PTSD and other stuff, that it something about running the router seems to be therapeutic.
It has been, and he had such a love for it and a passion about it straight off the bat that I kind of giggled at first and said, I just got to go out there. I spent so much time out there trying to talk to him. He's got a fidget spinner, bless his heart.
Hey, it helps. That's good.
It does help him. It really does. So, and I was out there talking to him one day, and I just said to him, I said, I want to try it. Give me a scrap piece of something and just let me try it. And I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it and how I kind of took to it. But I took to it kind of like your bride did, a little bit differently. I route, and I like to route, but he's a much faster router than I am, especially with design. And I know I'll get faster as I do it more. But because we had been setting up places and kind of selling some, I knew that to keep things rolling and to keep inventory going, that if he routed because he was faster, I could take over with everything else. So after he got me my corners and routed, I took over with color and paint and stain and sanding and all the other stuff. So he started it, and then I would finish it. And one of the things that I think has surprised me the most is in the beginning, I would say, okay, this is the one I want to do. And then I would just say, and I'm going to do a stain, this color stain on the background, and I want these two colors in it, and that's what I'm going to do. And in the beginning, that was fine. But then I started paying attention to the wood, and he started bringing up the nuances of the wood and how knots are placed and what colors you're looking at and how something sands down. And I really started to let the wood kind of talk to me a little bit. And sometimes my intention would be, we sold this, so I need to replace it, but it would turn into something completely different.
Yeah.
That it wouldn't be what I thought it was. And that I have absolutely loved. It is so much fun to let the wood talk to you, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, and each wood has different characteristics. And what really kills me is someone will make a sign and then they cover the whole thing with paint, you know, like a background and the surface, and it that just kills me because this wood, you know, most of these woods are so beautiful in the grain, and if you really appreciate the grain of the board, I just hate covering up the grain of the wood, especially if you got something really pretty. So I agree.
Exactly. We've done some oak stuff lately, and we're not going to do much more of it right now because wood is so expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what, the oak is stunningly beautiful. I love putting about a medium stain against it with a nice, pretty, bold color. We do the welcome signs and the welcome, and then black on whatever, like we do a pineapple and a dove or a Bible or whatever. But it is funny because sanding oak has to come straight from the pit of hell, because it is the hardest thing in the world to sand. I'm out there going, are you kidding me? He's like, don't open up the grain. Don't go too hard. Make sure you're only staying with the way the grain rolls. You got to pay attention. Don't spray so much. Tape off more. And I'm like, I know, but it's so pretty. And the last time I said I wanted to do oak, he was like, you hate oak. I'm like, no, I hate how oak sands. I love oak.
Well, have you guys tried Purple Heart? Oh, shoot.
No.
Oh, it's like concrete. I mean, it's so gorgeous. But just ask Frank Jenkins. Purple Heart is like, you can imagine oak. Imagine about 4 times harder than oak. Honestly, it is.
I talked to him.
I'll just leave it as a tree. I'm not doing a thing with it.
I talked to him on a couple of occasions, and we were talking about that, and he said he went through a couple of bits, more than one, on a purple that type of wood.
Yeah.
He said, make sure you got sharp bits or multiples, because you're going to need them.
Yeah, it is. It's really, I carved some hard stuff, but Purple Heart may be the hardest, but there are some others too. Hickory is really, really tough.
Well, going back to the wood thing, as she's learning, she's worked the miter saw for me for years when we did some hardwood floors. Yep. And she knows whether to cut it shy, cut it heavy, cut it on the line.
Yeah.
And she's not scared of the miter saw. But when she came around the router, I said, this is spinning at about 30,000 RPM. So if you get nervous or something jerks you, just don't let go of the router, because it's going to have a bad effect either on the wood, the tool, or you.
Yeah.
And then when she sees me laying the templates out, and then I'll flop it one way, I'll even flip it the other way, and she's like, what are you looking for? Or what's one way different than the other one? And I was like, well, or I'll try and slide it to the other side. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to get that knot out of my carving path, if at all possible.
Yeah.
Because knots are so unpredicting. It's like, you don't know if it's going to be hard as concrete, or, you know, I've had some knots, you just literally blow right through them and they're soft.
Yeah.
And she's like, does that make a big difference? And I was like, yeah, you could, especially on my Bauer router, if it's a hard knot, you could hear the RPMs drop down a bit.
Yeah.
And,
well, and they're unpredictable from a standpoint of, you never know when one's just going to break loose and be gone. You know,
or
be right.
Come out.
It can look solid as a rock, but then you pull through it, and all of a sudden, boom, it just lets loose, and you got a big hole in your sign. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
So
yeah. And
she's
sometimes,
like,
sometimes they're soft like marshmallow, sometimes they're hard like rock. You just never know.
And they take stain differently too. A lot of them. Some of them you go right over it and it's great, and then others I go back like 3 times, and I'm learning to allow the wood to be the wood. So if I'm staining something and it's not working for me properly, and I'm struggling with a couple knots or anything, you live with what you live with. And I giggle and tell him all the time, because he is such a perfectionist on his own skill level and what he does and how he does it. I tell him everybody else's, his 50% is everybody else's 110. So if you can just halfway accept it, everybody else is going to love it. But he'll sometimes, we'll be looking at different things, or we'll be looking at the way things are, and I tell him, honey, that little booger right there, they pay extra for that, because the CNC machine can't do a booger.
That's absolutely, that's a great, I have never put it quite that way, but that is a great way to put it. But that's a problem.
It's true. And
go ahead.
Well, for him, like when we're selling them and we have them set up to sell, I'm certainly not shy, as you've witnessed. And when I'm talking to people about things, I don't try to hide the imperfection. I call it out. I show them that this is how this is what the wood.
Me under the bus.
I do. This is what the wood does, or this is what this looks like, and this is what makes this more difficult and special. Because even if we do the exact same template with the exact same colors and try to get the same wood, they're never ever gonna be the same. They're not gonna. So even you may see this template again, you may see this style again, but you'll never see yours again. So we couldn't duplicate it even if we wanted to. That's the uniqueness of it. And I usually will say, and that's why you pay us extra, and giggle. and they, you know, it sort of lightens the edge off of it, because sometimes people will say, well, how much is this, or how much is that? And when you're talking to them about it, if you're hesitant about what your price is, then they'll be hesitant about it. But if you know how to build the value in it, I tell him all the time, if they don't leave here thinking they stole it from me, I didn't do my job right.
Wow, I want you working for me. Holy moly, that's awesome. That's terrific. That is exactly what you put the value in it, and you let them know they're getting something 100% absolutely unique. They're never going to get one like this anywhere else, because this is a one-off piece. So yeah, that was really good. Very good. That was excellent.
My wife could sell snow to an Eskimo.
Yeah. That was really, really good.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any of your work that you can show us?
We've got a couple in process. Here's the funny thing. We realized 10 minutes before we sat down here that we're transitioning, because we've been working outside here at the house, into the garage of a family member of ours. So almost everything is there because we're not working here anymore. And he said, Well, I've got a couple of things here, but nothing really major.
I'd been carving for
Where'd
the
you
last few weeks in 26-degree weather.
Oh, yeah.
And so then she brought a little heater out
There you go.
and I put on the table, or she brought it out. And it's just one of those little,
Yeah.
like for in a cubicle or something.
Yeah.
And set it right in front of me so it would blow on my hands and I would route. And the weather, I mean, I built a farm table to work off this summer.
Yeah.
And so that's been my work all bench for building outdoor furniture and all kinds of stuff, and my routing table. And so then the weather's gotten crappy and it's hard to work around bad weather when it's raining.
Yeah.
I had a flag job that it went south a day before we were supposed to deliver it.
Oh no.
So I routed up until 5 o'clock Christmas Eve.
Yeah. To finish everything.
Because I was trying to, she called the woman and let her know about, it was a thin red line for her husband in Flag, to say, hey, this is what happened. Very sorry. We'll send you a picture of what it's supposed to look like. You can put it in the card to him, or you can, tell him what happened or whatever, and your Christmas present will come later.
Yeah.
And she even offered, she goes, well, I'll take the messed up one if that's an option. And I don't like people seeing messed up work.
Perfectionist said, no way, I'm making another one tonight. And I was like, we were in Lowe's at 8:30 at night buying wood to make another flag.
Yeah.
And he worked on it all night.
So I got
all
it all
the next day
and done until, so that I could route the stars the next morning. And so then I bought a heat gun so that I could pre-warm the flag for the clear coat. And while I was brushing the clear coat on, the heat was helping it dry, and finished it that night. She delivered it the next morning. And then I had 2 more welcome signs because that flag put me behind the 8 ball. That I had to get the 2 welcome signs that I kept in the back of my mind because, hey, they're going to be quick and won't take time. And then the flag threw a wrench in the job, and this is my first year of doing this, and I told her I hate, or I don't like being responsible for someone's Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't want, I would have felt, that's why I stayed up for hours in the garage that was cold, trying to get the board glued up and get it all put together so I could route it. I said, if we need to have, the circumstances need to change if we want to do this next year for Christmas, because the weather and being cold and the rain, it just put me way behind. I didn't
cost
want
us
to
almost a week, and a week during Christmas orders, losing almost a whole week is tough.
Oh, yeah. That's like a month.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be in that position again. That's why I stayed up late, to make sure the gentleman would have his flag. And
so by next year, you'll have a situation that you can deal with all those kinds of delays and stuff, and not be really dependent on good weather and stuff, right?
And we'll know when to cut off the custom orders. And if you didn't buy something stock that we had already done, or something that we could easily do a modification to, you just learn to stop the custom orders. And the last order that we took actually wasn't that flag, but the lady called us begging us to take that order. She had seen them a couple of weeks before that. So we kind of backed ourselves a little bit into that corner and tried to leave some room, but it just wasn't quite enough room.
Thank
But
God.
it's okay. I mean, it all got done. Everybody was happy. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yep.
And one of the other things that we always have to take into consideration with Tracey is that he has good days and bad days.
Yeah.
I mean, he can wake up with the intention of working for 6 hours and you might only get 2 out of him and maybe none at all.
Yeah.
So you just have to build in a bumper. And because we're so new to this, we're learning what that bumper needs to look like.
Yeah. Pretty exciting though, isn't it?
Oh, it's a tremendous amount of fun. We have such a good time with it.
Yeah.
And I love working with him. We owned a business together for years and I predominantly ran it and he came over and helped when he could. And yes, he did. But this is
She
so
told
much.
me to get out.
I did actually. I told him, I said, there can only be one chief. The rest are Indians and I be the chief. So
She used to tell me, this is my world.
mm-hmm.
And then in my world, I'm the boss. So
Yeah.
when she was a couple of days, she was routing and stuff. And I said, remember what you told me years ago at the shop? And she's like, I don't know. There's a lot of things. I said, the day you told me this is my world, I said, well, let's laugh. We joked about it, but
Because this is his world. I'm his assistant. I'm his runner. I'm his, oh God, I just ran out of this and I thought I had another one. Go get it for me. I'm his everything. So he can stay focused on what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm the one that runs around like a chicken with my head cut off. And sometimes he'll tease me. He'll say, why do you look so tired? I said, if I had a pedometer, you'd cry. I probably walked 50,000 steps for you today and you'd have sat there routing. He goes, that's how it works. This is my world.
you were asking about any of my works.
Yes. Well,
This was my first attempt in cedar.
Aha.
And,
Okay.
and I carved it shallow for a reason,
hold it up a little.
because I didn't know how well. I remember you saying that it would tear out sometimes in cedar, or it
Yeah.
was easily to tear. So I thought maybe if I go shallow,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have that problem as much.
Yeah.
And luckily I didn't have any tear out or anything. I had a couple of wonky lines on my cross and stuff, but the wife and a couple of people like this turquoise
Yeah.
color. And
Yeah.
I've been asked to replicate this and do it deeper in the same color on the same wood. So I've got that coming up.
Yeah.
this one, we may have to back it up a little more. I don't know if you can see the whole thing. Carry it
Oh,
down.
yeah.
Live laughing.
Yeah.
So this is nothing special, but for me, I've wanted to try. This is totally freehand,
Right.
no lines laid out.
Right.
I just took a pencil, and this is going back to writing my name. So everything I wrote, all the lettering, was all squiggly and would look better if I had my grandson do it. So no layout lines, no nothing. I wanted to see how well I could freehand
Yeah.
and stay letters lined up.
Yeah.
Because I thought that would be a good, for me, a good learning curve to control. You know, on your videos, you talk about pulling down instead versus pushing up, and I tried to explain.
Oh,
that
I'm totally
to
a pull down girl, and I knew that. I didn't know that was a thing, but I was like, dude, I cannot go up. I have to go pick it back up and come down. And he taught me about spreading my hands and not trying to hold on to the handles, so you have more control, so you don't cramp up. And when you come off the side of the board, he's been an excellent teacher. So I thank you for teaching him, because he didn't know any of this until you taught him at 3 in the morning on videos, and then he teaches me. So he'll come over and he'll say, that looks pretty good. It really does. And I can see you're making improvements, but right over here and right over here. And I'm like, yeah, I earned that. I see what you're talking about.
But I mean, her her movements are more fluid than mine. And you talk about hand control, even in the latest video that you did. When I say I'm new to this, I'm only like weeks into carving.
Yeah, you started, I think you got the kit back in July?
Wow.
August?
Yeah.
Yeah, July or August of this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not, I think we might be at 6 months now.
But I didn't carve for 2-3 months of that period because I had so many bad days back to back.
Yeah.
And it was so hot outside. We bought an easy up to try and work in the shade.
Yeah.
But I would have to lay towels down because perspiration, you'd end up sweating on the wood. And I'm like, stain might not take to that. So it got really cumbersome, and I had more days than bad days, more bad days than good days.
Yeah.
So I kind of put it away for a while, and then just the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Wow. Just in time for Christmas.
It didn't. We
It
didn't
all
really
happened by
intend,
accident.
and
I don't believe in accident. I believe that God
talk
sends you
about
where you're supposed
success
to be.
stories. This has been sort of a mini success story.
So tell me.
So I started doing, she started shopping things for me to do in these packets, and they sort of have inspirational quotes or animals and stuff. And because I kept saying, well, I want to order from Vicky and Eric again and get some different templates. And she's like, well, what exactly do you need? I said, if I can get the line to the wood, I can carve it. That's what Eric always says. Whether you hand draw it, carbon paper, the different methods, you can carve it. So she came home from Walmart with these packet of stencils.
Oh, okay.
And had different sayings and stuff, inspirational little things. And
I don't think we have any left here at all.
no, we don't. They're all.
Oh, we have one. You have.
So
I carved some stars that look like clovers because I used the wrong bit.
I even told her, I said, some of the stars are very small, and the ones that were on this template were even, I think the biggest one was 1/2 inch in diameter.
Ooh, wow, that's tiny.
And I said, you're going to use that carving liner. She thought she put the carving liner, but oh yeah, so when she didn't understand or misunderstood that I said the carving liner, that's why her stars, she said, turn out like clovers.
My grandson loves this saying, and I say it to him all the time. And this was one of the templates that we had gotten from the thing at Walmart.
Yeah.
And I made it, he saw it, and we sold it. And I made it again, and we sold it immediately. And the last time I made it, he said, Mom, make it for me and do not sell it. And do it in my favorite colors. So this, as you can see.
Oh, yeah.
That looks good.
I said this was about, I think, my second or third sign that I carved.
Wow. That looks really good.
Okay.
So yeah, you guys are great teachers, but you can, if I get close, if you look at those stars close, they are definitely clovers.
There you go.
And
Being critical.
But
I'm sorry?
Now you know.
Being critical.
I know. I did a little, but my grandson laughed and he goes, Mom, they're stars and I don't care. I like clovers too. And I said, thank you very much.
Well, he saw the first one. He saw the first one that I had carved. And then he was kind of like, stars look a little funny.
And if he'd have paid for it, I would have told him you paid extra for that, but he didn't pay for it. So
good point.
I don't think my first sign looked as good as that. But I was all over the board. And so getting back to it with those templates and stuff, I probably made about 25 of them, and along with some of my flag orders and stuff that were coming in, she's like, we don't have enough wall space, and it's starting to get kind of tacky.
I told him, I said, even motivational speakers don't have this much positivity on the wall. You got to do something.
I said, take them down, give them to people, give them to friends, Christmas, you know, whatever you want to do with them.
Yeah.
And so she found this little place that we go by sometimes, and we know.
Yes, we it's actually a small local farmers market, and we thought we could set up there. There was a lady there that kind of had little tchotchke kind of stuff, and we contacted them, and we set up there the very first week. I think it was the last week in October when we were there, and we noticed that not even a half a block down, there was a much bigger kind of an open air thing where everybody had tables set up, like 8 or 10 people, and there was a lot more people. So I contacted them during that next week and asked if we could come there and set up. And it is, they call it an open air market, but they only allow people there that make the things that they're selling.
Oh.
Yes, you can't purchase things and resell them. You have to make your stuff.
Right.
And we set up there the first weekend of November, and we're just happy. We had about, I think we had like
15 or 20
15 of these, and one flag, and I think a welcome sign, and we did very well, and people loved it. So we came back the next week and sold double of what we had sold the week before, which was great. And then by the third week, people were asking us to take orders for Christmas. And we explained to people that if you love this sign, but whoever you want to give it to, their favorite color is green instead of blue, we can do it for you in green. Yeah. If you want the background stained darker, we can do that for you. So we started getting a couple of sign custom orders, but the flags went crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Well, it all kind of just literally blew up that weekend. I think we did $250 between most of the routed signs and took 2 flag orders.
Yeah.
And one of the customers on that first week was this little girl. She's about 10 or 12 years old, and she bought one of the quotes said, "You are my sunshine," and it has like a half arch of a sun, and it has rays that I use the spiral upcut bit, and so it was nice and deep and got color in there. She bought that with her own money, and then she came back the second week and bought a different sign. And then we met her mom, and she said, "You got to see these people that sell these handmade signs." And she's bought, I think now 4
or 5 of them, all with her own money. Some of them are in her room, and some of them she gave as gifts
for Christmas.
But people have just really taken to it, and it's the color, I think, in the little 12 by 12s and the price point really makes them attractive, because it doesn't, it's about what you'd pay for some flimsy thing that's put together and has a sticker on it from Walmart. I mean,
has it. Yeah.
So it's just different, and it's personal, and we tell you about it, and we show you about the wood, and we ask you if you like this instead of this, and if you want me to make you one for next week, and we can take an order for it. But the flags really blew up, and I think the best week we had was like our 3rd week or 4th week there. I mean, between the custom orders of the flags, which my personal preference is, if you're going to have me make you something custom, you're going to pay me up front. And nobody balked about it. Nobody had a problem. So, I mean, we had, I think that we took 5 orders for flags that day, plus the signs, plus the welcomes. I mean,
it stepped up.
Not to talk money, but it was a well over $1,000 day in 4 hours. We try now to make sure we always have 4 or 5 new templates or something different, and then we replace what I affectionately call the Old Faithfuls that sell every single time we put them on the table. And
it
just love them.
It started out slow, and then excuse me. We shut down at 1:30.
Yeah.
So it was a slow morning to begin with, and then where all the people came from, I don't know. But we knocked everything down quickly because at that point we only had 6 signs left on the table for people to buy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
And I will show you, this is the newest version of his flag, because he has several versions.
Not the newest, but
This one is a whitewash, and the stars are not cleared yet because this is a right after Christmas order.
Yeah.
But adding the whitewash, we've always had a flag over our sideboard in our dining room, and we've sold it 4 times now. So so he's got to make one whenever he gets time to do us. But it is definitely my new favorite. Instead of being the natural wood burnished, when he whitewashes it, after that, it's my new favorite.
Yeah, that looks great.
I like doing them in different wood stains, like where the red stripes are a red mahogany, and then leave the white strips burnished.
Yeah. And
then do the union, and when you route that even gives a different color of pine, so it almost gives it a 3-dimensional color.
3 tones. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been a lifesaver. I mean, to be able to do this.
That's quite a success story, you guys. I didn't realize, at the beginning when you said you've been watching 2 years, I didn't realize that really this has only been a couple months. And you guys, again, by accident, well, Tracey, you made all these things just because you liked making them, but you didn't have the intent to begin with to really sell this stuff, that you just kind of fell into it.
It was basically my therapy.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, your therapy is going to have to become a small business.
Because it's piling up in the house, and it's starting, people would come over and they're reading the walls, and I'm like, this is weird. That you can't have this much motivation in one place. But because some of the ones on the small signs, people give us feedback and they come back again and again to buy other things, and they did that especially for Christmas gifts. And one lady said, there was one that said, your friends are your chosen family. And she said, because her mother and father had both passed away and she didn't have any siblings, that was very true for her. And she said, I put it in right beside my door as I'm going out of my door in the work in the morning. She said, because sometimes the day will get after you and whatever. And she said, it just reminded me that I have a family, that I'm not alone. My friends are my chosen family. And it just makes you feel good, because that wasn't, of course, our intention when we were building it. We would love it to bless somebody, but how people come back with their stories has been, it's been like the icing on the top of the cake.
I'm trying to find a picture that I emailed you a while back, and it was funny when it was a picture of the flag and a bear and a moose, and it was facing each other. And I said, here's what I've done today, and emailed it to you, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Who is this, by the way?
I'm sure you get a lot of it. You guys are a big fish in the pond, so I'm sure you get a lot of people reaching out to you. And I do want to say, but you guys have been tremendous in answering questions and guidance, and just all the information that you share, and how transparent it is, and how you are genuinely excited for people. It's not you putting on an air or being palatable. You guys are genuinely there to help people, and it's helped him tremendously, which has helped me in several different ways. Him from the therapy side of it and the benefit from it, but also the fact that we've been able to turn it into a small little side business thing to have fun with and do together. So it's been nothing but a win-win for us, and we greatly appreciate both of you.
Thank you so much. That really does mean a lot. It just is
Humbling.
very humbling.
I quit messaging you even before I had bought all of my product, because I'm thinking, because I was asking questions before I even had items to do it. And even after I got my items, I was still asking you questions, and I'm thinking to myself, he's like, oh God, it's that guy asking me again. It's like, he says he watches videos, but it's like, I don't know where in the video category where to go. And it's like, I'm not bothering the man anymore. So I'm just going to have either solve my own problem and then or maybe it'll come in another video.
Let me tell you this. He loves, and I'm going to speak for this, he loves answering the questions and talking to people. He loves teaching. Send him all the messages. The only thing I request is don't message on Sundays at 10 o'clock at night. We get phone calls or email in.
Just don't call.
Yeah, we get people that call at 6 o'clock on Sunday morning, or like.
But what happens is people don't realize that when the phone rings here, it literally rings right next to the bed. This is this is our bedroom. Our bedroom, our business, our workplace, it's all intermingled. So when the phone rings, people think we're a big fish and it's going to go to a answering service or a machine or whatever. No, it rings right here.
Well, that's funny because with the flags, when we were fighting the weather and trying to get them going in the process, my stovetop was covered with foam and boards laid out that had just been stained. Nobody ate on the tabletop for like 5 days. And we're running around here going, where did you put that? Because this is our shop until we got the garage.
Here's the sign I messaged you, Eric.
Oh, the one with the up there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember that. Yeah. I heard that.
So here's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Can you see the box?
Welcome to our what? Neck of the woods?
Welcome to our neck of the woods. I remember that. Yes, I do.
So funny story about that sign. Never got to sell it. Somebody walked off with it.
Really?
We were packing up at the market at the end of the day, and it had not sold that day. And he sat it on a picnic table right beside where we were packing up because it had to go in the car last, or in the SUV last, because it needed to go on the top. And he forgot it. Yeah, he forgot it. So we realized it not even 10 minutes up the road, turned around and came back and messaged the lady who kind of coordinated the thing. And when we got back, it was gone.
Well, I think somebody walked off with it while I was loading because it was so long. It was 56 inches long.
Right.
And that when we left, I pulled out next to the table and never saw it on the table because that color sticks out on a really weathered picnic table.
Yeah.
And so I think someone walked off with it while I had my back turned loading the car.
Oh,
and I was upset, but I told her, I said, I guess we just weren't meant to sell that one.
And I will tell you, the best week we ever had was the next week we went back to that market.
Yeah.
I believe things happen for a reason. And I said to him, I said, whatever that is, it is. And even people at the market, other vendors said, did you ever find it? Did anybody say anything? Because we put it on their Facebook page for the market. And they were like, no, never heard, never seen it, never heard from it. But that's all right, because our business has done nothing but flourish, and God bless whoever's got it.
Yeah.
Two people came back that following weekend and said, hey, I want that welcome to our neck of the woods sign. You still got it. I
Yeah.
was like, no, but I had, I did. I had recarved it and in a different stain.
Yeah.
A gray wash.
Did it in a weathered gray. That wasn't even on the board for maybe first half hour.
Yeah.
And then somebody walked by and said, "Hey, I'll take that."
Yeah.
And then the two people came by and said, "Hey, I'll take that big sign you had." And it's like, I'm sorry, that's gone. But I had another one, and that's gone.
But it's been, I mean, every aspect of it has been so much fun.
That's
From just setting up and seeing other people and meeting people at the market,
Yeah.
working with him to sell them. And even before that, I mean, we set up at the market and it's usually 4 to 5, about 5 hours that we're there total between setup and breakdown.
Yeah.
But there's so much prep during the week that goes into that to be ready. And it's fun. I know it's called man glitter, but I love it and I don't have a problem with it. And I love, yes, exactly. Yes, it's woman. I agree with you, woman glitter. But it's just been wonderful and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I'm so excited for the weather to break a little. We're still going to do some setups here and there. Yeah. But when everything starts to come back open again in March, middle to the end of March, I told him, I said, I want a par and I want an inventory and I want to be ready to roll.
Yeah.
There you go.
And he's like, okay. I said, so that means the par is built in January, February, and the beginning of March. So even though we may only be selling 3 or 4 weekends during that time frame, we'll be working like crazy to get it ready for where we are.
Yeah. No, that's exciting. I am so pumped for you guys. That is so cool, especially knowing that you just kind of fell into it and the timing. You know, had this happened in June, it might have been a different thing. But because you guys were there, you know, and started early October into November, that was absolutely perfect timing. And again, it was meant to be. And that just kind of jump-started your business. And now you've got a time frame of getting ready for March. And then you guys will, you know, you'll be completely into the mode by the time next Christmas comes. And you know, you can, you know, with your flags, 4th of July, there's just so many different things that now you know, you guys just got kind of almost like a turbo boost start with your business. That's so cool. That just is so cool. I'm so excited.
I also make farm tables and different things like that and sideboards.
Yeah. But guys, it has been so much fun. You guys are a delight. Everybody's going to love this. What a great success story.
Yeah,
just so pumped for you guys. Just so excited and pumped for you guys to see what this next year brings. It's going to be great.
But thank you. That's been a privilege to physically talk to y'all and everything. And,
yes.
And just to let you know that it's been a godsend to pick up this new woodworking trade. I've always worked woodwork, but just not as much with the router.
Yeah.
And it's the days that I don't touch the router are some of my worst days, but and I try to make it that I go out and just play with the router if I'm just doodling or try to make something, you know, a new sign.
But please know, I'm very thankful for our success and how quickly it has grown, but it would have never been that way if you guys weren't as open and helpful and committed as you guys are to not just us, but to everybody. So because of that, because of how you guys present this to us and how open and available you are, means that we can do what we did in such a much faster timeline than it normally would have been.
Well, thank you so much. It means everything to us. We really appreciate you guys, and so happy that you found us and that what we do could help. It just is, it is something that's so special that I can't even explain it. But thank you guys. We think the world of what you guys have accomplished, and we just love you. It is just awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Happy New Year to you guys, to you and your family.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year, guys. Keep us posted on how it goes.
We will. We'll keep you posted.
Okay.
There goes the phone again. Bye.
Take care. No worries.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.